everyone, welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel I should say. And we've had all the weekend's fixtures now, and I'm going to be going through some of them, just going through the results. Obviously you've had my predictions and now you get to see what my predictions look like against the actual results. So let's get into it. Let's have a look at how the weekend went and let's talk about some of those fixtures. Okay, so you can see my predictions up here now. You can see how I did against the results of the weekend. Now you can see I've got a couple right. So Aston Villa, Wolves 2-2, you know, I got that spot on actually. And obviously the Chelsea-Brentford game, 1-0 Chelsea, although we'll talk about that in a moment. That could have ended completely differently. Brentford should have probably won that. But yeah, it was a pretty decent weekend other than one resounding result that I'm gonna have to talk about, right, aren't I? So basically what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through, I've picked out 3 fixtures that I'd like to talk about on these kind of breakdown end of the game week or match week shows. I'd like to just pick out the standout fixtures rather than talk about every single one, keep the videos a bit shorter for you guys. And so yeah, so the 3 fixtures we're going to talk about today are Chelsea Brentford, because Brentford deserve a solid mention and Chelsea are looking at title contenders. Liverpool, that Liverpool game against Watford, we're going to talk about that because Mo Salah, right? My goodness. And just generally Liverpool looking once again like title contenders. And because I just want to do 3 fixtures, the last one I'm going to do, yep, obviously we're going to have to talk about it, is the United Leicester game. Devastating. Okay, so let's kick off with the Brentford-Chelsea game. Now, I watched that game live, right? I watched the whole game from start to finish, and throughout I was just thinking, I don't know how Brentford are not winning this game. If you watch that game, right, you would have seen, and let's say you didn't know much about football, you know, you just stumbled upon the game, and somebody told you that one of these teams have just been promoted, right? You would think that team was Chelsea. I was absolutely mind blown by how good Brentford were, because fair enough, you know, I said in my preview show that I'm a big fan of Brentford, and I am a big fan of Brentford. I like Tony, I like Mbumo, apparently it's Mbumo, not Mbuemo. So I'm a big fan of those 2 players and just generally the way Brentford play, which when I talk about the United game later, you can just tell that Brentford have a style of play and a certain way that they play, right? And throughout that game, literally they should have won the game. Let's just put it that way. They should have won the game. If I think the Brentford manager said at the end in his post-match interview, if they played that game 9 times out of 10, they would have won it 9 times. And this was the 10th, the one time that, and you know, they played it exactly that way, they would have won it 9 times out of 10. And I'd kind of agree with him. They looked really, really good. And Brentford are going to give a lot of teams in the Premier League problems this year. Like for example, I generally think if they played like that against United, United would lose. Because anyway, this isn't about United. Let's talk about. We'll save that for later, right? So yeah, let's look at some of the stats for the game. Like if you look at I think there were Brentford had 17 shots to Chelsea's 5. So that basically means Brentford had a chance, let's say, on average every 5 minutes. They were all over Chelsea. But like I always say, or like I said on the preview show as well, Chelsea just never looked like conceding. Chilwell's goal was a worldie, it was just an amazing goal, really, to be honest. And I think that's for him, that's his 3rd in terms of club and country. That's a 3rd goal in 3 games. So Chilwell's looking very prolific. But yeah, long story short, in my opinion, Brentford should have won that game. Brentford deserved to win that game, or at least they deserved the point. But Chelsea are doing what Chelsea have been doing this season. They just don't concede. Mendy, for me, was man of the match. Mendy, Chelsea's goalkeeper, easily man of the match. If you look at another stat, was the XG. I might mention this a few times. It's expected goals, and if you watch Match of the Day and stuff like that, it shows you that on there. It seems to be quite a fashionable stat these days. But I think Brentford's XG, or expected goals, so the stats expected them from the chances they had to score, was 1.91, right? Now that basically means, if you round it up, that they should have scored 2 goals in that game. They didn't score a single goal. And Chelsea's was 0.27, and obviously they got their 1 goal. So obviously, comparatively, it's not like a ridiculous amount in terms of Brentford should have won 2-0 or whatever. But when you look at them, compared to one another, the 1.91 versus the 0.27, it just shows how, I wouldn't say lucky because it's Chelsea, right? How well organized and defensively compact Chelsea had to be, and resolute they had to be to make sure they got away with that win. So I rate them. They deserved it. If they got the win, they did the job. They deserve it. But you have to feel sorry for Brentford. But yeah, my takeaway from this game really is that Brentford are going to do serious bits in the Premier League this season. And we should really keep an eye on them. On to the Liverpool-Watford game, right? Finished 5-0. Mo Salah with a goal, Firmino with a hat-trick, and Mane with a goal. Mo Salah with a goal and an assist because he assisted Mane's goal as well. And honestly, we have to start at Mo Salah's goal, because if you haven't watched it, I'd recommend, finding it on YouTube, whatever it may be, find it somewhere and watch it, because that was a repeat basically of what he did against City the game before. And it was an amazing goal. Like I said, I was watching the game live and I just thought, wow, it was a really, really good goal. And I think that would probably be one of the, if not the goal of the season already. It's probably definitely a contender for goal of the season. And I mentioned it on the last video anyway, but Salah's probably one of, if not the best player in the world on form right now. And like I said before, these things are hard for me to say because I'm not a Liverpool fan. I've got Liverpool fan friends who are going to be getting all gassed and big for their boots. But the fact of the matter is, Liverpool are looking really, really good. They're looking really resolute, really good for the title. And just all the things that, some other teams aren't looking like. They're just looking very, very like a proper team, and they look good. They play well. They rip. Literally, the first half against Watford, they ripped through Watford. Watford were looking like they just didn't want to be there. Obviously, if you remember from the preview show, Watford have just got a new manager in, Claudio Ranieri, and it looked to me like they hadn't really got to grips with his tactics yet. They don't seem to know what he wants them to do. They were kind of all over the place. Like I said, that first half was a bit of a mess. But then I think the first half, I can't remember if it was only 1-0 in the first half. But anyway, they just looked like it could have been much, much worse, right? And then second half, like I said, Firmino got his hat-trick, Salah got his goal. And it just never really looked like Watford were going to do anything. I think they had a couple chances. I predicted that it would be 3-1 for this one, that that Liverpool would destroy them, but that Salah would get a goal or something. But they just did not look like doing anything all game. And I'm sorry to the Watford fans, but it just didn't look good. And you have to say, right, because Watford have a I don't know, whatever the word is, like a history of sacking their managers. And obviously this is where we are now, right? They've sacked one manager, Cisco, and they've now, not that Cisco, guys. Cisco, I don't know his full name, Cisco Firmino or something. And now they've got Claudio Ranieri in. And you have to be honest, I think Watford's next few fixtures don't look great. I think they've got Liverpool, Chelsea, or City, one of them, in the next few fixtures, right? So you have to wonder, will Ranieri even make it to Christmas? The way if he loses all those games as well. But yeah, Watford just didn't look very good. I think Liverpool are now unbeaten in their last 18 Premier League games, right? And there was a time when I thought, especially last season during COVID and all that, there was a period when Liverpool weren't doing so well. And I was obviously, as a non-Liverpool fan, especially as a United fan, I was quite happy about that. But then when you like track it back and they're unbeaten in 18 Premier League games, they're kind of back, right? And it pains me to say this, because if I'm looking at the Premier League, and obviously we're not looking at the City Burnley fixture, because like I said before, Burnley were always going to lose that game. City were always going to win it, comfortable win for them. But City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, specifically City and Liverpool, are looking like they're going to be going at it for the title. I know Chelsea are top of the league at the moment, and to be fair, Chelsea have faced, I think, quite a few top 6 teams. I put Arsenal in there, even though they're not top 6 anymore. They've faced the big boys basically, and they're still top of the league. I think you have to take them kind of seriously, But Liverpool, anyway, we're talking about now, they're unbeaten in 18 games. Obviously, Firmino hat-trick, the best defensive number 9 in the world and whatever. But yeah, let me know what you think about Liverpool and Chelsea and Man City, and who's your title favourite? Who do you think is going to run away with the Premier League this season? And I think it's going to be one of those 3. once again, it pays me to say that. And yeah, I think it'll be one of those three. Let's talk about what we don't want to talk about, what I don't want to talk about, what I'm trying to avoid talking about next. Okay, let's just do it. Let's just get this out the way. Okay, let's just get this out the way. And yep, it's the United fixture, and I know a lot of you guys are waiting for this. A lot of you guys are waiting for me to review this game, and I'm not going to shy away from it all season because, unfortunately, I see this happening a few more times while we're in the state that we're in. AKA, we've still got the manager and the coaching staff that we've got, and the lack of system or lack of tactics, lack of anything. Everybody's calling it vibes, and it's just vibes, and and run out there and play. It's just vibes, no tactics. Yep, it's the Leicester City, Manchester United game. Leicester won 4-2. If you don't know by now, you probably should know, and now you know anyway. Leicester won 4-2. I think it was, I can't even remember who scored for them. Tielemans got the first goal. Then Söyüncü got a goal. Leicester obviously. Vardy got a goal, and there was one more. Obviously 4-2. Vardy didn't get 2 goals. He got 1 goal. Anyway, they got 4 goals. That's all you need to know, right? And we got 2. Greenwood with an absolute rocket, and Rashford with customary Rashford goal on the break or on the counter with a beautiful Lindelof pass. Now, once again, as you can see, I'm kind of delaying, trying to avoid talking about this properly. But really and truly, if it wasn't for David De Gea, right, who for me was man of the match, well, from my point of view anyway, from the United point of view, was man of the match. From the Leicester point of view, probably Vardy was man of the match because he played quite well. But let's get into United. Let's talk about United. Let's talk about the problem with United. What do you do about United in this situation? Now, I'm very like it says like I've always say it says on the channel description, everything like that. I'm a perennial optimist, right? When it comes to United, and I think that it hurts every time we lose like this, and it pains me to the bone, because you watch. I mentioned already. You watch the Chelsea, you watch Liverpool, you watch City, and they just look so good. They look like they know what they're doing. Their players look like they know what they're doing. They've been coached well. They have a pattern. They have patterns of play. If I receive the ball here as a midfielder in one of those teams, I know exactly where. Well, I should know an idea of an area where the rest of my players are going to be, or some of my players are going to be. So you're a KDB. Obviously, maybe not KDB. Then let's use a not so good example because he's just elite. You're Naby Keita in the Liverpool midfield. You know that Salah's going to be making a run down this side. Mane's going to be making a run down that side. Firmino's going to be dropping deep. So if I'm in the middle of the park, I should be able to make a pass quite easily. Or not easily, but what you're going to be doing. You don't get that with United. And I've kind of been overlooking it a lot. A lot of my friends in my WhatsApp group, in the United WhatsApp group, right, that I have going, they've been very adamantly, we need to change the manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't know what he's doing, that kind of stuff. And I've been trying to just be patient because for me, it would be amazing for Ole to win a trophy with United. It'll be just nice, But I think that's just a fantasy now, if I'm honest with you. And like I said, I've said this like 10 times in this video already. It really, maybe not 10. It really does pain me to say these things because I just don't feel right now, as we talk, I just don't feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is good enough for the team. We've got a class squad, right? If you look at, and when I say okay, I know I'm probably a little bit biased, but if you try and be unbiased and you just look at the players that we've got Ronaldo, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Marcus Rashford, you've got Jadon Sancho, you've got Rafael Varane, you've got David De Gea. The list goes on. Like, we've got Mason Greenwood, who is seriously a generational talent. He's unbelievable. And somehow we're just not looking cohesive. We're just not looking very good at all. And it's such a shame. It really is such a shame. So I do feel like Ole's just not good enough, unfortunately. And like I said, it is unfortunate. What I'd like to see is a manager like a a Zidane maybe come in, or it's kind of a similar situation to where Chelsea were, right, with Lampard a few months ago, or last year, sorry, not a few months ago, and they got rid of Lampard. Lampard had a good, same squad basically that Tuchel has now. Brought in Tuchel. Tuchel's made that club where they are now. They've won the Champions League. They're top of the Premier League. And I feel like the same kind of thing could happen with United. We could get somebody come in and basically revolutionise the team and use the players that we have to reach the potential that they should be reaching. Anyway, I could go on for days. I really could, because there's so much to say about this team, and there's so much to discuss, and so many issues to dissect. Like, for example, the pundits on Sky Sports are protecting Ole, and to be honest, I don't blame them for that, because if it was one of my friends that was managing Man United, right, I probably would defend him, publicly as well, and I try not to ridicule him publicly anyway, because why would you do that? But I'd message him or I'd call him after the game and be like, bro, what's going on? Like, why are we so rubbish? Why are you playing this guy? Why are you not playing this? Why is he not playing Van der Beek? I don't get it. Let me not get frustrated anyway. It's not, it is that deep, but it's not that deep. Like, let's just hope that we can beat Atalanta, we can beat Liverpool next week. I don't see it happening, but let's just hope. I'll never predict United loss, so you'll probably see me predict a draw for this one, the Liverpool game. But yeah, some actual facts. Vardy's still joint top scorer with now, because he scored, Salah scored, they're both on 7. Rashford doing Rashford things, like I said, came back, thought he'd rescued a point for us on 2-2, but no, we go and concede 54 seconds later. So yeah, it's just frustrating. Like, as a United fan right now, it's just so frustrating. It ruins your Saturday. It just makes you so frustrated. But yeah, let me stop unloading you. You guys aren't my therapist. But yeah, so that's the game. I'm sure you guys are waiting for that one. And let's just see how we do going forward. It's just vibes at the moment. We're just vibes, FC. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what Oli does next. There's talk of him changing tactics, changing to a back 5 maybe, which makes no sense to me, because we need our wingers. We bought Sancho. You're going to change to a back 5. That means you're going to sacrifice a winger, right? Anyway, let's see what happens. So that's it for this week. I hope next week, when United face Liverpool, I'll be coming on here absolutely gassed. But I have expectation that I'll be talking similarly and basically just being like, look, it's happened again. But yeah, so those are the 3 fixtures that I've picked out today, and those obviously were my predictions from against the results. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I've picked the right 3 fixtures, or if you think there's another fixture that we should have spoken about today. And next week, like I said, we're going to be going into the fixtures actually starting a bit earlier next week. I've got a Friday fixture and then Saturday, Sunday fixtures, obviously. So we're going to start with our normal preview, and yeah, let's see how the week goes. Once again, thank you for watching the video. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and see you on the next one.